Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
And the first female Arab astronaut to go to space has arrived at the International Space Station. According to BBC, Rayana Barnawi is one of two Saudis on Axiom Space's second private mission. During her scheduled 10 days in orbit on the ISS, the 34-year-old biomedical scientist plans to carry out stem cell and breast cancer research. Partly cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Joburg dropping to an overnight low of 5 degrees, peaking at 20. Tshwane 7 and 22, Vereeniging 3 and 21. Lerato Huffela, Eyewitness News.
#MSW. You may begin to feel anxious or excited.
Honest, deliberate, engaging, uncensored.
High dosage administration can cause adverse reactions.
And most importantly, independent in mind
This is a normal response.
and execution.
Are you ready?
Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Leshonalo, he had to save the Chili Boys, and like Moses saved the Israelites.
Chippa United taking on Lamontville Golden Arrows at the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium. Chippa heads into the final day of the Premiership season at the bottom of the table. Can they get out?
So it's Maru Macallans that will go into relegation.
One thing for sure is we don't rely on anybody doing us favor.
The Maru Gallants coach.
Yeah, that's a problem sometimes when you have to rely on other results. Yes, if it happened.
You were brought in to try and rescue the situation. Are they rescuable, if there's ever such a word?
They are rescuable, if I mean to answer your question.
Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Doctor will dribble you and laugh at you. And we are playing a game, eh? It's a serious game. That's doctor for you.
#MSW.
Samgelo Qela, the Cape Town Tigers guard, former NCAA Division I player in the US, joining us live. I mean, you're talking about a Cape Town Tigers guard. I mean, a former NCAA Division I player in the United States. Ndosi. Oh, yes. Sawubona, how are you doing? We are Pila.
I know.
Robert Marawa, live on 947. Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Sowetan Live. #MSW. Not your ordinary Monday. It's Reaction Monday. #MSW.
It becomes very simple on a Monday, on Reaction Monday, where we just basically say some have been relegated, others have won the championship, others are in the top 8, others have qualified for Europe, others have qualified for the African CAF competition. So the beautiful thing is, wherever you are around the country, the world, as well as the continent, it is very simple. WhatsApp voice note number is 0607080484, 0607080484. Let's hear about your weekend experience, whatever sporting code it is. Hey, I see IPL. A bit of a shock that's gone on there, hey? All right, we'll take all that reaction right here on Marawa Sports Worldwide. It is a Monday. Good evening to you and welcome to the show. Live at 947. Equally live on Vuma FM, Rise FM, and on Sowetan Live. You can catch the broadcast live on YouTube. You can post your contribution right there. Talk about posting contribution. We always say we save the best for last because we haven't spoken to him in quite a while, and deliberately so. It's been a very busy man. So Manchester City, Premier League winners for the season 2022-23. I think a season like no other, with a World Cup slap bang in the middle of it, has ended the same as the past two seasons. It's almost like a rare three-peat of Premier League titles clinched, securing Pep Guardiola's remarkable Manchester City squad a place definitely in history. So when you talk about a remarkable achievement and the title clinched with 3 games to spare in the season, I mean, it also makes it 5 Premier League titles in 6 years. I mean, that's 6 seasons, a reign of domination. Kind of testament as well to Pep's greatness and the squad's relentless determination, will to win. Also emphasizes the squad of players' greatness and also drives to maintain a great deal of success. So Man City's 3rd successive title was clinched. Yeah, I'm sorry, Arsenal fans. Arsenal going down 1-0 to Nottingham Forest at the City Ground in Saturday's late kickoff. I suppose a result that sealed Arsenal's fate for the season and showed that Mikel Arteta's men had finally run out of puff. They did try and keep up that pace, man, but they were quite rampant, Man City. And what a wonderful run as well. So let's head off to the UK. Peter Drury, international football commentator, joining us, legendary commentator himself. Peter Drury, thank you so much for your time. Good evening. Welcome to Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Robert, how are you? Good evening.
I feel breathless, Peter. It almost looks like and feels like I was the one playing the EPL this past season. What is it like for you, just from a human perspective, having to absorb this great lead that Arsenal had and then right at the end, it's Man City?
Yeah, it's honestly been a very absorbing season. I think you picked the right word there. Arsenal have been fabulous for the narrative. Everybody's enjoyed the way they've played. And I think anybody with a common sense perspective on it is disinclined to go along with some of what's being said about them bottling it or throwing it away or whatever. They haven't done that. They've massively overachieved. They've pushed Manchester City to within a week, more or less, at the end of the season. Okay, they've run out of steam now. And it was really actually a bit Nottingham Forest on Saturday when Nottingham Forest, of course, secured their safety in the Premier League with that win against Arsenal, who just didn't have enough left in the tank. And the thing about Manchester City's tank is that it seems never to empty. We saw what was effectively a shadow team yesterday against Chelsea, and all of the same movement, and the same zest, and the same ball movement, and the same creativity existed, albeit in a slightly artificial atmosphere, if truth be told, because the supporters were there just for the party, and there wasn't a great deal of pressure on it. But Manchester City, what they displayed yesterday was just remarkable depth of talent. If you looked at what was on their bench, what was available to them by way of substitutes, it was almost laughably strong. And both this season and in the years to come, they're going to take some keeping up with.
I'm glad you mentioned the word, what they had as far as the talent on the bench, because you could see, I mean, there were smiles. Yes, it was a serious game. It was known the night before that they'd won it. But just to keep alive the competition, Peter, for me, is what Pep Guardiola is all about. Sometimes people criticize and say he denies certain players an opportunity to play. But then how do you keep an entire squad happy all the time for various competitions that he has to play? And I think yesterday was testament to just really how well he rotates that squad.
Absolutely so, and he's never culpable of this, but he can't allow sentiment to cloud his judgment. It's because he has such focused judgment that he gets these things right invariably. And that is often, in the immediate terms, the detriment of some of the players. And the best example yesterday, I don't know whether you heard a terrific interview with Calvin Phillips, who of course is a very, very good, strong English midfield player who came from his home city of Leeds, where he was captain, he was the main man. He came to Manchester City, and he spoke yesterday while the party was on, while the medals were being given out, about how it had been one of the hardest years of his professional career so far, because he was barely playing. But he wasn't complaining. He was understanding. He saw that he had to learn how to be in that hyper-elite environment. And he was relishing the challenge of getting to the level he needs to get to. And Pep Guardiola has made him understand that he needs to take on board the level that is required to be in Manchester City's first 11 week after week. And I thought that was really enlightening. It showed both the humility of the player, but also the brilliant man management of Guardiola to have on side a top player who he's not been selecting. And that's just wonderful management.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about that. He's a player that Leeds United would have used. And you talk about that interview that he had. And you reflect back to the game itself, because he came pretty close, Peter, to scoring a goal. In fact, it was the woodwork that saved it.
Yes, he did. He had a header in the second half, and that actually would have been a lovely moment because, it would have picked him up, lifted him, made him feel a big part of it right at the culmination of it all. And everybody speaks very highly of him as an individual, actually. He gets a lot of love for the way he does comport himself. So it would have been a very popular goal, but it sort of sums up the way the year's gone for him. I must say, though, that a year ago, not quite to the same extent, people were saying of Jack Grealish that he hadn't quite caught the City bug yet. He wasn't doing things quite the City way. At a year on now, he is absolutely central to everything they do. And that's just another illustration that we're talking about a very high level here, and you don't necessarily get to that level way. And I hope, for the sake of Calvin Phillips, that he follows in Jack Grealish's footsteps, and perhaps a year on from now, we'll be considering him to be fundamental to Manchester City's first team.
What's your outlook? I mean, you look at a guy like Alvarez, Peter, who is a World Cup winner, steps in whatever given time and moment, and he'll convert. He'll score a goal, as he did over the weekend.
Yeah, that's another good example. Funny enough, when he scored his goal yesterday, I in my podcast asked the question: how many goals would he have scored if there wasn't such a thing as Erling Haaland? Because it's quite clear when he stepped up that he is a more than adequate striker at Manchester City's level, and that's the frightening depth and strength that they do have. When Haaland's not there for whatever reason, Alvarez steps in and fills the role terrifically well. He's a beautiful taker of goals. Plus, we also saw him have a wonderful World Cup. He scored 4 goals, I think, at the World Cup. People, naturally enough, remember the final, but he got 2 of Argentina's goals in the semi-final against Croatia and was absolutely key to what they did. He's a super player.
Talk about a super player to a super manager. What more does the world say about a Pep Guardiola? What more does the world say about the genius? I hear commentators, I hear commentary, analysis in studio, Peter, where I think the word genius is used, nothing else. How do you describe it?
Well, he is a relentless genius, and people are looking for a flaw, and it's very, very hard to find one. His record does speak for itself. In his last 14 working seasons, he has won a national title 11 times. 3 with Barcelona, 3 with Bayern Munich, and now 5 with Manchester City. And I suppose the only little jibe you can throw at him, and it's a pointless, fruitless, and frankly rather bitter jibe, is that he, by definition, at those clubs, gets to coach the very best players. There are people, and in my view it's a facile view, there are people out there who say anyone could have won the league with Barcelona, anyone could have won the league with Bayern Munich, and now anyone could have won the league with Manchester City. That's palpably not true, but even if there were a grain of truth in it, it's not his fault that he's so good that he gets given elite jobs. He is elite. He deserves to be with the elite players. And I think most fundamental of all, it's clear, it's visible, it's right out there that even the very best players in the world, he improves, and that's the job of a coach, that's the job of a teacher, is to improve players or to improve in whatever field of life you're dealing with. And Pep Guardiola very obviously improves even the finest players, and that is remarkable.
I was going to say, if you're an England manager and you're looking at all these English players that are playing under Pep Guardiola, whether it is Stones, who has had his role revamped a number of times, they start games, they play star-studded games as well. You look at a Phil Foden, he might not start every game, but when he does, you look at a Walker who continues to thrive, gets given the captain's armband as well, is able to play Champions League football as much as he does, gets caught out for pace, has made up for pace. there's a lot of stories that can be written and told about the kind of players that Pep has made or turned into a different role that they can play even at national team here, Peter.
So true. John Stones, as you say, is probably the finest example of that. But it's funny how if the sincerest form of flattery is to copy, it's funny that increasingly you start to see others kind of copy that. Zinchenko, a good example, who played at left back for City and towards the end of his City career started playing in that inverted position, moving from full back into midfield. He goes down to Arsenal and lo and behold, there he is doing the same at Arsenal. And they're attempting the same things. And that's not the only example of what is an attempt by others to emulate what Pep Guardiola does. And that only, in fact, Trent Alexander-Arnold's doing it for Liverpool now, isn't he, for right full-back? A direct rival, a fierce rival, is in a sense acknowledging an idea that has first become visible as a result of what Pep Guardiola has done at Manchester City. So he's an innovator. He has fresh thoughts. It's a really tough thing, to have original thoughts. You'd have thought football's been being played for hundreds of years. You'd have thought all the ideas had been used up by now. There's nothing new to do. But this guy, year on year, and in fact week on week, comes up with something fresh, and invariably it works.
I want to touch on something after the break, Peter. And what we're going to do is we're going to drop this line, just try and get a little bit of a better quality line, because there's still a little bit more that I would like to post to you, especially around the likes of Brighton. We've seen Brighton also making a bit of history. Not a bit of history. They made history because it's never happened in their entire existence. So what has happened this time around to Brighton? We'll figure it out with Peter Drury. Maybe one or two of your questions as well. You've got an opportunity as well to start posting those through to me immediately. Peter Drury is an international commentator, somebody who you and I and the rest of the world know very, very well with his most outstanding commentary that he does on football at any level. Chelsea, 12th position. Maybe there's something to speak around that. And as it stands, Leeds United, Leicester, Southampton going to be biting the dust. But it is that story of Newcastle. It is that story of Brighton, Aston Villa. Let's not even forget about the likes of Brentford. Yet another season. Not struggling, not looking over their shoulders to figure out if they will manage to survive. Of course, they're surviving.
Marawa Sports Worldwide Live.
In 3, 2, 1.
On 947, Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Soweto Live. #MSW.
Digital helps you make international payments. Human brings you global specialists who support your complex exchange requests. Get a dedicated relationship banker, access to global wealth specialists, and international travel and lifestyle perks. Enjoy the complete private banking experience with private clients from Nedbank. Digital when you want it, human when you need it. Search Nedbank Private Clients online. See money differently. Nedbank. We are a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Sondo's sonnet is trending. But who is she? At Vuyo M1 tweets, at a concert, Sondo was jamming with the band. At Jacob 6 tweets, I see Sondo's sonnet everywhere. At Ember 2
they are talking about you and your car again. Have you become a celebrity?
Ma, I'm just a girl living her best sonnet life.
Don't wait. Get amazing fuel economy, unlimited kilometer, 5-year warranty. Get into the Sonnet. Start living. Get the test drive of your life at kia.co.za.
Kia, movement that inspires.
At the Courier Guy, we deliver to just about anywhere. Embassies, consulates, yeah, even naval bases. Whatever floats your boat, really. So stop rushing around and supply us with those packages today. We promise there'll be no confusion. How much you ask? Starting from just 85 Rand, duh. Or should that be da? Anyway, T's and C's apply.
People say life comes at you fast, but nothing comes close to how fast life can change when you go bold. There's nothing democratic about losing your hairline. Going bold is a decision that's made for you. A decision that means to become part of who you are. Eh? When you are bald, you even lose the opportunity to tell the barber which hairstyle you want. Because one look at you and the barber knows the only style you can choose is no style at all. The days of doing a fade stop fading, and dreams of you dressing up as Mr. T for your office Christmas party remain just that, dreams. Life doesn't always give you choices, like choosing to have hair forever. But we do. With the option of 3 sides when you buy a lunch meal for only 69 Rand, the freedom to choose is yours. Chicken licking. Soul food.
Ever wondered how a single bet could change your life? Lotto Star invites you to try your luck on over 360 of our thrilling games, such as quick games, live games, real rush games, scratch cards, virtual games, lotteries, and the real jackpot race. You could go from zero to multi-millionaire instantly. Bet now on Lotto Star, your world of live games. Lotto Star is licensed by the Mpumalanga Economic Regulator. No under 18s. National Responsible Gambling Program. 0800 006 008. T's and C's apply. All games are fixed odds betting events.
Previously on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Yeah, Vincent Ndunja, Cape Town Tigers assistant coach, as well as Usamgelo Qela, the Cape Town Tigers guard, former NCAA Division 1 player in the US, joining us live from Kigali. Vince, let me start off with you, man. Firstly, though, congratulations on being selected to join the Minnesota Timberwolves coaching staff for this year's Summer League.
This has been a very exciting moment for me, and as someone who's paid homage and just showed passion and so much perseverance in the basketball game when I was still a player to now, as I had envisioned, just representing Kukule to where I'm from, and now I even got a chance in a bigger scale where I can even represent the entire continent.
Yeah, almost makes me want to play that song, Ekukulet.
Hashtag MSW. Hashtag MSW. Not your ordinary Monday. It's Reaction Monday. Hashtag MSW.
Good evening, Rob and Peter. Peter, I just want to hear your views with regards to the downfall and relegation of Southampton, because for me, it was a very surprise relegation, because here you've got a team that was fighting relentlessly last season, giving top teams hard time. I think the likes of Man City and Liverpool and I think Manchester United got hiding from Southampton last season, but this season I think things changed. Even after they fired Ralph Hasenhüttl, it seems like it was too little too late. What could have been the reason for the demise of Southampton? Tebogo,
thank you so much indeed. Chatting to Peter Drury, who's joining us all the way in the UK, looking back at the season that was. Yeah, the league title, the championship won by Manchester City. If you just arrived in the country and you were out of touch with the world. Peter, thanks again for being with us. And Southampton is the question coming through from Deboko. What do you think has led to their demise, rock bottom of the table?
Yeah, I have some sympathy for Southampton, and obviously even more for their supporters, because it must be hugely disappointing. I think in the end, perhaps the problem this year was that their team was a bit young. It was keen, and it was fresh, and some of the football it played, was actually very, very watchable. But James Ward-Prowse, perhaps aside, who's a great and experienced professional, of course, there was maybe not quite enough savvy in that team. It didn't quite know its way around the block in the way that some of the other clubs of similar size are. But I think it's also, I know we live in a hugely competitive world where there isn't much sympathy for this argument, but it is a massively competitive environment. And, one of the notions that always bugs me is when people talk in terms of established Premier League teams. The truth is, only 5 or 6 are really established. At the start of every season, 14 of the 20 Premier League teams are essentially playing for the 40 points, or perhaps a little fewer, that will keep them in the league. And Southampton are always going to be one of those teams where they're in the Premier League. And once in a while, there's a season that just has your name on it. And sadly for Southampton, that was this season.
I looked at the Leicester City, Peter, from champions to where they are right now.
Yeah, in a sense, they make the same point, even having been champions as recently as 7 years ago, there's no certainty about your existence in the Premier League. It only takes one dodgy season and you're suddenly in real trouble. And they're in real trouble. Of course, they go to Newcastle tonight and they need to get something. And nobody has easily got something against Newcastle United. It's a pity because they've got some beautifully talented players. Harvey Barnes, James Maddison, the obvious examples. But the last vestiges of their great Premier League title fairy tale 7 years ago are disappearing. We've seen much less of Jamie Vardy this season. And I fear they may be disappearing out of it. I think it's a very tough ask for them now. If they win both their remaining games, it's not impossible. But if they win, they will just about survive. So good luck to them. But it just shows that nothing is forever, and bar the very biggest, there is no certainty for anyone in the Premier League.
All right, a bit of a good news story here. This is good news in terms of a compliment to yourself again, Peter. Tim Ram says, I wanted to let you know that your work as a football commentator is truly remarkable. Your passion and energy for the game make every match a joy to watch. Keep up the great work. That's Tim Rams in saluting you, Peter.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. As I like to say, all I am is an enthusiast. And if that enthusiasm comes over and is genuine and felt as a reflection of how fans everywhere feel, then I'm delighted by that. And I'm really grateful for the compliment. Thank you.
Yeah, we echo that every single day here, Peter. Good news story, though. When you look at the Premiership and you look at the Premier League and what it has, there will be those stories. We've talked about Leicester, we've talked about Southampton right down at the bottom of the table, but then there's a certain Brighton owner, Tony Bloom, who is smiling from ear to ear right now because they've never done this in their entire history. Peter, what has changed about Brighton and Hove?
Well, funnily enough, the great thing about that club is the way it has evolved. And you mentioned Tony Bloom and Paul Barber, his chief executive. They have built that club in a really measured, sensible manner, year-on-year improvement from the days of Chris Hughton taking them up from the Premier League and through Graham Potter. And there was a suspicion that once Graham Potter left, they wouldn't be able to evolve any further, but they have under De Zerbi. Their recruitment is absolutely fantastic. They are a proper community club. They're still rooted properly whilst they're becoming better and better known globally because of their results. They very much stand as a part of their constituency, if you like. They invest in their people, but what they've been, in terms of competitive football, what they've been so good at is recruitment, particularly in the South American market. The latest, I guess, we've seen is the boy in Cito, who's absolutely lit the league up in the last couple of weeks, and they really deserve their moment in the sun. More than a moment. They're going to play European football for the first time next season, and it'll be interesting to see how they rise to that challenge.
All right, got a question here on the WhatsApp voice note line.
Good evening, Mr. Marawa. Good evening to the shareholders. Just one question for Peter Drury. Doesn't he think that Mikel Arteta overused some players? I'm looking at people like Saka, Odegaard, Saliba. They played almost 99% of Arsenal's matches, and I don't think that is healthy for a league like the EPL, where speed and physique is very, very much part of the game. Anyway, I'm an Arsenal fan, not very disappointed because I never thought we could be in the top four, but because we stayed for so long on top of the log, we started believing that we could win the title. But anyway, that's it. Let's hope Mr. Arteta has learned something. Thank you, Ms. Marawa.
Thank you so much indeed. Peter, what's your view, though? I think he talks about the possibility of overloading certain players and not really giving them a rest. And, 90% of the games, they were not going to make it until the end.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting, measured question, that, and I respect the point that's being made, particularly in a World Cup season where a lot of these top stars really have been overloaded because they represented their countries. during November and December as well, and it's been a long, long campaign. What I would underline again, though, in defence of Mikel Arteta there, is that he didn't have available to him the resources that, for instance, Guardiola did at Manchester City. So whilst we began this conversation by lauding Manchester City in the context of yesterday's game, in which they were able to play, for the most part, a shadow team, Mikel Arteta didn't have that shadow team available to him. He didn't have an alternative Saka. He didn't have an alternative Odegaard. They were two of his very best players, and without them, Arsenal wouldn't have got the results that they did get, which enabled them to push Manchester City as far as they did. And that, in a sense, is the difference, the depth. Pep Guardiola can afford to go a couple of games without Kevin De Bruyne because the players he brings in are, if not quite of the same level, very, very close, top level players. Mikel Arteta, if he takes out Saka and Odegaard, he leaves holes in his team. And that's where Arsenal have to strengthen.
Just a final one, maybe again on a personal level, Peter, before I let you go. What's been the standout moment for you? I mean, you see games week in and week out. There are those moments, the highs, the lows, whether it's from a coaching perspective, a playing perspective, a fan perspective, whatever it was. What is it that you take away from this season?
Well, I suppose that the obvious response is going to be around Erling Haaland in our league this year, just because he is a phenomenon. You know, in every dimension, he is bigger, stronger, faster than your average human being, even your average elite athlete, your elite sportsman. He's a remarkable figure of a man. I've really enjoyed his humility. I've really enjoyed his smile. And I've really enjoyed his goals. You know, he scored all sorts of different goals. We've been really privileged to have him in England and to watch him do what he does. And what is frightening for the rest of the league is that he's still a very young man and he could keep on doing it for a very long time.
Yeah, he and Alfie can keep singing every single day, Peter. I want to thank you. I want to salute you. Thank you very much indeed for always being available for Marawa Sports Worldwide. And if we don't talk again before the end of the season officially and post the Champions League and everything else, have a deserved break.
Thank you so much, Robert. Always a delight to catch up with you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much indeed. That's Peter Drury joining us all the way in the UK.
Good Robert, yabingelela nama shareholders abathandi besports bonke. Yo, ayangikho mnandi bhuti wami, ayangikho mnandi. And it shouldn't be the case. It's Monday. We should be happy. My team Sundowns. Oh, you Robert, mfowethu. Uyazi asikaze silose in this tournament. Mfowethu kodwa we are out. Yo, ayangikho mnandi, serious. Ayangikho mnandi. Angikho nje. Angikho mnandi. Okwangempela futhi. But ke sizawuthini. Hard luck to the boys. Yo.
Yeah, the only way I can translate ukuthi akomnandi is not mnandi.
Robert Madluput. Hey, man. Whoever bring Mvala to Sundowns must take this guy to NFD or Motsepe League. He doesn't deserve to play for Sundowns, that guy. He cost us Nedbank Cup, he cost us CAF Champions League, and he was the weakest link again in that MTN 8 game against Pirate. That guy, man. He's not a Sundowns material, that guy. He's not a Sundowns material, that guy. It's not like we hate Mvala, but Mvala, come on. You can't commit mistakes. Every big game you commit a mistake. Every big game you are the one who cost the team. We have a wonderful season, very, very wonderful season. But Mvala keep on costing us. Cost us the clubs. Man. Whoever plays the catch and dance must take the guy to NFT. As for my
Was it just about one man though?
Evening, Marawa, and evening to the shoulders of the show. Patrick here. It's election Monday as usually. Marawa, I'm so disappointed. Go Arsenal and the performance against Nottingham Forest. Kunawo bonke abantu besingadluli Nottingham Forest. Yeah, I guess we need 5 or 6 or even a couple of good players in the next coming season mhlampe we can compete nathi ku-league. Congratulations to Women City, congratulations to Pep Guardiola nangendlela nje alidlalisa ngayo iqembu lakhe. Liyaqhaza, liyaheha ngaso sonke isikhathi. Then coming back to khona la ekhaya eSouth Africa, then my another disappointment ngicanga ukuthi ku-Kaizer Chiefs angazi angiqondi futhi ngiphelelwa amazwi man. I so wish ngelinye ilanga mhlawumbe management ye-Kaizer Chiefs ngasithatha serious. Benginethemba ke la junior ukuthi mhlawumbe uzokwenza izinto differently, but I feel like naye ukubalekela uhlelo olukhulu olunjengolakho ukuthi angasithathi serious ezabalandeli nakho lokho ngicanga ukuthi kungenye nje indlela kusikhombisa ukuthi abasidingi futhi bayasidelela. Marawa anginawo amana amaningi, but nje engithanda ukusho ukuthi owatazwane kimi uhlulekile dismally sebangamgqina ngentando yabo then baphikisana ngendlela abangaphikisana ngayo. Even if we can sign notable players or even good quality players, but I don't think ukuthi singenza kahle under leadership yakazwane. Thanks to Rob.
Patrick, unhappy with Kaizer Chiefs, saying that they underachieved. Well, he's talking about the DStv Premiership campaign coming to an end this past weekend. Oh boy, I mean, what a campaign it's been. Mamelodi Sundowns had already won the league with a couple of matches to spare. Orlando Pirates, SuperSport United were chasing CAF Champions League football. Maritzburg United, Marumo Gallants, Chippa United were all locked in the relegation battle. Hey, someone gallant. Hey, or maybe they weren't. They weren't gallant, were they? Because if they were gallant, they would survive. So maybe, yeah, they weren't gallant. Got the chop. Relegation. Boom. So the eyes were on the mid-table to determine who qualifies for the MTN8 competition. Let's peel back. It's been a thrilling season. We'll take some of your WhatsApp voice notes. Otherwise, you can call us directly in studio 011-883-8947. FarPost editor Mthokozisi Dube makes a hot seat appearance right here on the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Rob.
I don't know what was your biggest disappointment. Let me start with the potential negative. Purely on the DStv Premiership.
Yeah.
This past weekend, so-called match day 30.
Yeah.
What was your biggest disappointment?
I think for me it was Marumo going down. I mean, the way they did in the CAF Confederation Cup, I didn't expect them to go down. You know, I thought they would actually be gallant and win and, survive relegation and perhaps, do well next season.
So who did you expect then to get the chop?
For some reason, I thought Chippa would go down.
But Chippa never goes down.
Chippa never goes down.
You should know this. One day, off air, I'll give you a pattern.
Look, man, I mean, after 5 coaching changes in the season, I thought they were going to go down.
They've made more and they've survived. And that's why I say to you, maybe during the break, I'll give you that pattern. Don't go anywhere. Stick around. Lots to talk about.
Marawa Sports Worldwide Live.
In 3, 2, 1.
On 947, Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Soweto Live.
MSW.
Choosing your dream Volkswagen can be difficult, which is why we've made it easy to get a Polo Vivo Hatch 1.4 Trendline from 3,775 Rand at 0% deposit over 48 months. We've even made the T's and C's easy on the ears. Thanks to Matthew.
The Easy Finance. Guaranteed future value is the minimum future value of your vehicle as determined by Volkswagen Financial Services South Africa Pty Limited. This offer is calculated over 48 months and 80,000 kilometers total contract limit. Offer is subject to credit approval from Volkswagen Financial Services South Africa Pty Limited, an authorized FSP and registered CP. Offer valid until 31 May 2023 or while stocks last. T's and C's apply.
Thank you, Matthew.
All right.
Deal or No Deal is more than just a game show that everyone talks about. It's a game show that transforms the lives of everyday South Africans. To date, we celebrate more than 1 million Rand worth of cash prizes that Deal or No Deal has helped to change lives. You too could win up to 250,000 Rand in cash with me, Katlego. Simply SMS the word PLAY to 43066. Standard SMS rates apply. Catch Deal or No Deal on SABC1 at 7:30 p.m. and on SABC3 at 5:30 p.m. every weekday. Deal or No Deal is sponsored by Lotto Star.
Lotto Stars, licensed by the Mpumalanga Economic Regulator. No under 18s. National Responsible Gambling Program. 0800 006 008. T's and C's apply. All games are fixed odds betting events.
It's a carnival celebration of arts and crafts at P&A from 18 to 31 May. We have the widest variety of arts and crafts products for the crafters, the hobbyists, and even the professional artists. Discover a new talent or expand your creativity with up to 15% discount on selected arts and crafts products. Available at your local P&A store. P&A, color your world. T's and C's apply.
A healthy immune system begins in your gut, so the inclusion of high-quality probiotics in your diet can be beneficial. Biogen Supreme Probiotic 9 strain is an advanced formula with Hawaru strains and Orofti Synergy 1 fiber designed to improve intestinal flora. Biogen now also offers Supreme Probiotic for her for intimate feminine wellness, as well as a Q Travel Biotic and Choose for Juniors. Choose a probiotic supplement that's right for you. Available at Dis-Chem and biogen.co.za.
The following advert is for a product that is not for sale to under 18s, is not risk-free, and contains nicotine, an addictive substance.
Hey, Joe. You know my girl says I can't smoke cigarettes this weekend because her parents are coming over.
Try vaping and switch to Views. There's no odor.
For real?
No tobacco.
Don't lie.
Joe, there's over 20 flavors.
Okay.
And there's different nicotine strengths.
You know what? Perfect.
Switch on to Views. Visit the Switch On tab on Views.com to play our game, and you could win a free device.
Previously on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Samgelo Gcele, the Cape Town Tigers guard, former NCAA Division 1 player in the US, joining us live. I mean, you're talking about a Cape Town Tigers guard. I mean, a former NCAA Division 1 player in the United States. Ndosi. Oh, yes. Sawubona, how are you doing? We are Pila. I mean, it led the team to Kigali.
Oh yeah, no. Right now, into the team spirit. Right now, we're super motivated, and we just, we ready to play. We were driving back from practice today, and one of my teammates, Mike Benijay, was like, he was ready to play tonight. And so, when it comes to being ready, we most definitely are ready, and the spirits are super high, and just super motivated to win. And just keep putting South African basketball on the map for sure.
Hashtag MSW. Hashtag MSW. Not your ordinary Monday. It's Reaction Monday. Hashtag MSW.
Yeah, explosive as always. It is hashtag MSW Marawa Sports Worldwide, live on 947, live on Vuma FM, Rise FM, and on Sowetan Live, and live in studio. FarPost editor Mthokozisi Dube is with us. And before I take a comment again from you, Mthogo, let me go to Pretoria. We've got Miguel on the line. Miguel, thanks for your time. Good evening. Welcome to the show.
Good evening, Robert. How are you, sir?
I'm very, very good. You wanted to talk about the DStv Premiership games?
I do, but before I get there, Rob, I have to say, ever since you've left that other TV channel that we won't mention, the soccer's never been the same, eh?
Why? What's happened on which channel now?
It's the Super Sport channel. It's just difficult to watch Champions League. It's difficult to watch football without your voice there, without your knowledge there. We miss you.
Oh, wow. I take that as a compliment, Miguel. More than anything else, I do appreciate that feedback. I solemnly do. Thank you.
Most welcome. Rob, just a quick one with regards to Kaizer Chiefs.
Yeah.
I had a cousin who played there in the MDC about 2-3 seasons ago. And I had the opportunity to go and visit that arena and to see the facilities, and it's breathtaking. How Chiefs don't do better in the league, it's absolutely beside me. I really don't know what goes on. The state of our football, the level and the quality, it's just poor. It's hard to watch. I'm trying to understand what are Sundowns doing that the rest of the teams are not doing.
Investing. That's one word I can throw in. You see, they invest. When you look at Man City yesterday, and they talk about over 110 personnel that work behind the scenes in whatever capacity that they work in, that is called investment. So what Sundowns do, and equally, I think they've got a great facility in Tlorko, but it's not as superior as what you have at Naturina, which is probably within the same breadth as what they have down in Cape Town with Ikamva, with where, Ajax Cape Town used to be, where Cape Town Spurs are right now. Those are world-class facilities. But what do people do to invest in the human capital is the big question.
Correct. I have to agree with you. It's sad to see. Like I say, they've got top-class facilities, but they just do nothing in the league every season, and it's such a shame.
Quality is terrible because, Togo is here, where if any division around the world where you're losing about, 11, 12 games and you're still in the top 5, that doesn't sound right. Hey, Miguel, I don't know. Let me get a final comment from you. If you lose that many games in a 30-game league, but you still manage to hang on to a top 5, top 6 position, surely that says a lot.
Definitely, Rob. I think in any other league in the world, let's take the English Premier League as an example. You lose that many games, you're relegated, you're out of the league. So there's definitely lots that needs to be done. Maybe at the grassroots level, I think that's where we're lacking a lot.
Yeah.
And like you say, just investing human capital in these big teams.
Miguel, thank you so much for your input. Appreciate it.
Great, Rob. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Nice one. Let's pick up on that one. You observe, there's a fight. Okay, Sundowns have won the league a long time ago. Then people want to make a big deal out of position 2, which is great because that's a Champions League position. But after that, what are you really fighting for, Mthokozisi?
It's really sad, man. I mean, when you look at the table at the top, the gap, Sundowns and, you have Pirates below them. I mean, a good 16 points. I mean, a big team like Orlando Pirates, you go down, Kaizer Chiefs. Look at Kaizer Chiefs and Sundowns, the gap as well. I mean, you're talking a good 26 points. But that speaks to the investment that Sundowns have made and how far back Kaizer Chiefs are. I mean, a few weeks ago, I wrote a story and I said that Sundowns are 10 years ahead of, Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs. Maybe not Pirates. I think Pirates are making strides, but they're a good 10 years ahead of Kaizer Chiefs in terms of personnel, the technical staff, scouting. Who scouts for Kaizer Chiefs?
But how then do they let that slip? Because Chiefs were the trophy-winning team. Pirates, I think they did a stellar job with their coach. I've interviewed that man. He's football through and through. Mm-hmm. And he's about tactics. He surrounded himself with people that know equally the game of football. So where does a trophy-winning, historically, club like Kaizer Chiefs then fall so far behind? Remember, they used to have a developmental thing that was going on when Total was still there, sponsoring, when Dollarza was there, and Dollarza didn't want to have anything to do with development. But they were almost the front runners as far as that is concerned. Where do they falter?
Look, I think there's quite a number of reasons, but one that I can think of is the fact that football is evolving. I mean, changing. Top clubs in the world have proper scouting teams. I mean, when you are not able to attract good talent, I think there's a problem. Secondly, I feel the issue of chopping and changing of coaches. I mean, you look at Sundowns. I mean, Pitso came in 2012. There's been a bit of continuity in terms of their coaching. At Kaizer Chiefs, I mean, how many coaches have they had? Stuart Baxter was there, came back, left. Now they are talking, there's Athazwane now. Fans are not happy.
But talk to us, though, because you're the man in the know. When we went, where the Marawa Scorpions fail, we go to FarPost and we say, what's Mr. Dube saying?
Yeah.
What's going on at Chiefs? Are they going to go for a personnel change within the coaching department and especially the head coach?
Look, it's not clear at this point, but the fact is that the issue is not necessarily the coaching. I mean, I mentioned the issue of scouting. Look at the kind of players they brought at the start of the season. I personally said, look, I don't feel these players are good enough to play for Kaizer Chiefs. A lot of them, I don't want to mention names. So it's not really a coaching issue. Even now, with the players that they are said to have signed, players that they are seemingly targeting, who's scouting for them? Where are they getting these players? Are they good enough to play for Kaizer Chiefs, compete with Sundowns? I look at the quality, man. I think they're still far off. you know.
I mean, there's a certain form of a Bafana coach that's there. You know, but I think you would have been employed for a reason to bring that knowledge on an international front. But credit again, Orlando Pirates managing to put SuperSport United.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. Does a guy like Lodge stay?
You have to keep him. You know, of course, I mean, he's had his
Does
injury
he want to
woes.
stay?
He's had his injury woes. Where would he go?
He would go.
Where?
To where any other player that wants to go would go.
The one team that looks likely to challenge Sundowns next season is Orlando Pirates. You know, I think they've done well to close the gap a bit, you know, compete a bit. I mean, if they're in the Nedbank Cup final, if they win a second cup, you know, I think that would be a fairly successful season for Jose Rivero in his first season, you know.
Yeah.
Look, next season, they've got the quality. I mean, after Sundowns, I think Orlando Pirates have the second best squad in the DStv Premiership.
SuperSport United did something quite remarkable. Maybe Gavin Hunt did. And ironically, he's the same guy who was at Kaizer Chiefs who didn't see the light of day there. You know, he'll probably write in his book one day that that's the worst coaching experience he's ever had. Yeah. And but he resurfaces with players that he probably didn't even know. Gets given those. The checkbook is not open. I think they've got the awards actually as we speak tonight. SuperSport United. So what's been different?
Look, I think he's done exceptionally well with a young group of players, you know, and a bit of a mix with players that are on loan. You know, your Grant Mahamans, you know, they did exceptionally. Your Ricardo Gosses. So I think he's done exceptionally well. You know, brought in that balance, and it's incredible that SuperSport finished third with that kind of squad. You know, and I feel if given a bit of a budget, you know, I think he would do a lot more.
I think Gavin has given up on budgets. Sekhukhune United are in the top 8. I mean, we played a clip earlier on. Coach Brakis was very, very happy.
Yeah.
And you don't blame him, given where he's been, the kind of up and down successes that he's had. But to secure Sekhukhune a top 8 finish, I mean, how big is that, Mtho?
That is massive, man. I mean, remember when he came in, Sekhukhune were right at the bottom. Yeah. You know, I think... I thought they would be relegated if they continued in that, you know, breath. But he's done very well. He's taken them into the top 8. He's taken them into the final of the Nedbank Cup final. You know, he's taking them to Africa, you know, next season. So I think that's really massive for them.
Will they cope? Can they cope?
Look, I think they invested. I think they did well to sign good players at the start of the season. They look like a team that wants to sign, proper players. I think I look at the quality that they have in their team, and I feel they can actually compete in Africa if they obviously beef up. I mean, they'll have to obviously beef up their squad when they go to Africa, because it's not easy there. Of course, Marumo did very well, but it's not easy. You know, when you're traveling, playing a game every 3 days, you've got to have a lot of depth, you know.
And you're being held hostage. Some of your personnel are being held hostage. You can't do that well. So there's a lot that happens, like you say.
And players are demanding bonuses, you know, and they're refusing to train, you know, because they need bonuses, you know.
Is that still happening, though?
Yeah. I mean, when Marumo played Young Africans recently, you know, one of the days, I think it was on Tuesday, the day before the game, players refused to train because they wanted bonuses, you know, from the team. You're playing a team whose players have been promised 20,000 rands bonus for a win, you know. So it's a bit of a tricky space. I mean, yesterday we were talking to the chairman of Marumo, and you were saying he spent close to 18 million rands on the CAF Confederation Cup, the travels, you know, the 18. Travels, the accommodation, and you know, yeah.
I mean, does that make business sense, though? Were you spending 18 million rand on a tournament where you get to the semi-final, but you still get relegated in top-flight football?
It doesn't make sense. I mean, it doesn't make financial sense. I mean, if you're going to spend close to 1 million or above 1 million rand per trip, you know, traveling to Africa to play these games, and at the end, you get to the semi-finals and you're pocketing 15 million rands. I mean, it doesn't make business sense.
Let's talk about what might make business sense. Is the story of Swallows Football Club. fighting to avoid relegation many a season. Upheaval. Them also going through situations where players are so-called unpaid, coaches also going unpaid. You look at the top 8 this season. They were at the bottom of the table at some stage, but they've managed to secure, maybe not with a big name coach.
Yeah.
I mean, there's somebody who's going to be here sitting where you're sitting tomorrow, which I'm glad for.
Yeah.
But just talk to me about that and how they got it right at the end.
Look, I was actually laughing before I came here, just looking at the story of Ernst Middendorp getting to Germany and relegating that team. And I mean, when he left, Swallows were in the bottom half of the log. And here we are, Musanya Tama, getting the best out of the players and, storming into the top 8, with a minimal budget, So I think Musa and Musa has done extremely well. He's done extremely well for a young coach.
Talking about lack of budget, certainly that's where they are, and you'll break it down for us when he comes into the studio tomorrow. Sibusiso Dlamini says Marumo Gallants going down was very sad. What's going to happen to their players? They're 22-year talented and promising player Sibusiso Nkosi. What's the status of his contract? Are they staying? He's highlighted one player. I'm sure you know him very well. You've seen him perform. You had a word with the chairman. Is he saying anything about the personnel? Because if the team gets relegated, there are repercussions contractually.
Yeah, look, he did say. Funny enough, when he was giving his speech, he actually gave his blessing to Ranga Chivaviro, to say, you've done very well for us, you've saved us. Look, we'll be happy to give you our blessing to move. And then after the awards, he did say that, a lot of the players are likely to be leaving because their contracts are coming to an end. Some of them have options, which may be a bit difficult to trigger, obviously, because now they're going to the first division. I know for a fact Elimpilo Ngema has signed a pre-contract with Amazulu. I know for a fact Ranga is in talks with a number of teams. Young Africans are one of the teams.
Ranga to Younger. I think let's leave it there. It rhymes. The president was here the other day. He hinted of a player. For me, it is him. He's going to go. I wish him the best of luck as he treads over there. But I must give them credit, though. I must give them credit. There are even top teams with big budgets that don't do end-of-season awards. So here's a team relegated on Saturday. Sunday, they hold club awards.
But
you know what I'm saying?
But Rob, I was actually looking and thinking, we've had a 5-course meal here. Surely these players, the players were crying for bonuses. They were saying when they went to Africa, they were getting a 1.5.
It's too late.
But they should have used that money to motivate the players.
It's too late.
They should have used that money to motivate the players.
But he's saying thank you to them. He could have just let them go.
Rob, thank you to a player who comes and eats a 5-course meal and goes back home to nothing.
Yeah, but you also find top teams that don't even do end-of-season awards, and that for me is problematic. I know you're going to be back on the chair again. There's still Nedbank Cup. There's all sorts of other things we need to chat about, but that's the first installment. Editor, Mthokozisi Dube, FarPost. He never leaves his jacket. He sleeps in FarPost pajamas every single day, and that's what makes him great. Sir, good to see you again. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Rob.
Marawa Sports Worldwide Live on 947 Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Soweto Live. #MSW.